According to the U.S. Surgeon General, we're living through an epidemic of loneliness. 1 in 4 adults says they feel completely isolated, disconnected, alone. But you chose to stop answering. You looked at your phone, saw their name, and decided, not today. Not anymore. And this is the part nobody talks about. You don't feel lonely. You don't feel broken. You don't feel empty. For the first time in a long time, you feel at peace. So when did that start? When did you become the person who walks away and doesn't look back? Because you weren't always like this. There was a time when you were the dependable one, the friend who answered at 2 a.m., the family member who kept the peace, the partner who absorbed everyone else's problems like a sponge. You were the person people called when everything was falling apart, and you answered every time. You listened to the same complaints, gave the same advice, watched them ignore it, then watched them come back with the same chaos all over again. Until one day, something changed. The phone rang, and you didn't pick up, and the world didn't end. Actually, it got quieter. That moment was not weakness. It was your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you. Psychologist Dr. Stephen Porges explains this through polyvagal theory. Your nervous system has different modes. One mode helps you connect, trust, and engage. But when you've been drained too many times, when people have taken more than they gave, your brain doesn't wait for permission. It flips a switch. It moves you out of social connection and into protection, shutdown, withdrawal, conservation. Not because you're broken, because your nervous system is doing its job, protecting your energy like it's a limited resource. Because it is. But here's the deeper question. Where did your nervous system learn that people were a threat in the first place? For many of us, the answer goes further back than we want to admit. Maybe you grew up reading The Room before you could even read books, watching your parents' faces the moment they walked through the door, learning that one person's mood could change the entire atmosphere of the house. You learned early that closeness had a cost, that love and unpredictability could come in the same package. Family systems psychologist Murray Bowen called this emotional cutoff. It happens when a child learns that connection does not always feel safe. So you adapted. You became the one who could sense tension before anyone said a word. You learned when to speak, when to stay quiet, when to disappear into yourself. And somewhere along the way, being alone stopped feeling lonely. It felt safe. Now, as an adult, that same pattern shows up whenever someone gets too close. When someone's energy feels familiar in the wrong way, your body notices. When someone starts taking too much, your system pulls back. That is not a character flaw. That is a survival map your younger self drew to get through. But this is where it gets complicated. There is a real difference between protecting yourself and building walls that keep everyone out. Here's the honest truth. Not every cutoff is the same. The CDC reports that long-term social isolation can increase the risk of heart disease by 29% and stroke by 32%. So yes, isolation is not just emotional. It can become physical. But here's what people don't tell you. Being surrounded by the wrong people can be just as damaging. Stress has a cost. Chaos has a cost. Constant emotional labor has a cost. So how do you know the difference? Walls block everyone. The good, the bad, the uncertain. Walls are built from fear. Boundaries are selective. Boundaries are built from self-awareness. If you cut someone off and felt relief, that is information. If you walked away and felt peace, that is not isolation. That is protection. The question is not whether you should let people in. The question is, which people deserve access to your peace? And deep down, you probably already know exactly who they are. You've been watching them for years. That friend who only calls when they need something. You noticed that pattern early. That family member whose compliments always come with conditions. You learned that rhythm a long time ago. That person who love bombs you disappears, then comes back like nothing happened. You saw the cycle before it even finished. Here's something fascinating about people who cut others off. You don't do it randomly. You do it because you've become incredibly good at recognizing patterns. A 2023 study, published in Nature Neuroscience, found that people who experienced early emotional stress developed higher activity in brain regions responsible for threat detection. In simple words, your brain became very, very good at reading people. Researchers at the University of Iowa have also found that the frontal lobe, the part involved in complex social decisions, works overtime in people with this kind of background. You are not paranoid. You are not too sensitive. You are processing social information at a level many people never even notice. That ability to sense when something is off, that is not a defect. It is thousands of hours of data refined into an early warning system. And when that system says, this person will drain you, you have finally learned to listen. Society has words for people like you: isolated, withdrawn, antisocial, closed off. But those words assume something is missing. They assume you are incomplete without constant connection. Here's a better word: solitude. Loneliness is the absence of connection you want. Chosen solitude is the presence of peace you decided to protect. Loneliness is sitting alone, wishing someone would call. Solitude is sitting in your space, finally able to hear yourself think. Your phone is silent, and that silence does not feel like rejection. It feels like relief. People who don't understand will say you're running away from something. But you know the truth. You're not running away. You're moving toward something. Toward peace. Toward clarity. Toward a version of yourself that simply cannot exist in chaos. That is not isolation. That is sanctuary. And if you're watching this wondering if something is wrong with you, listen carefully. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not cold. You are not cruel. You are not incapable of love. You are someone who learned the hard way that not everyone deserves access to your energy. And instead of letting that lesson make you bitter, you made a decision to build a life that feels kind instead of chaotic. That is not weakness. That is one of the quietest, fiercest things a person can do. So where do you go from here? It is simpler than you think. The 75-year Harvard study of adult development found one powerful truth. A good life is not about how many people you have around you. It is about having the right people close to you. So if your circle is small, but it is filled with people who truly see you, you are not doing life wrong. You are doing it right. Protect your peace.